wonder how many people are mad at just seeing the title right now of this video.
Enough people.
A lot of people going, yes, no, yes, no.
One of them, at least.
One of them, maybe. Oh, I don't know what to do. Do I hit the dislike button or the like button? Can I do both?
When Ezra Miller shits in Johnny Depp's bed, then we'll all agree.
Hi, guys. I got my Birds of Prey jacket on. John has his Jaw shirt on. It's the best we could do today.
There's a shark somewhere in the DC universe.
So we don't talk about a whole lot of like the drama on stuff. We do it a little bit more than usual. However, these are two individuals who I do feel very compelled to talk about today. That's the only reason I really wanted to do it, because like out of everything I'm currently hearing right now, at least in like the movie sphere, dramatic stuff, this is the one that definitely catches my interest the most. I would like our discussions, especially on any of these subjects, because a lot of times people will click on our videos and assume we immediately have a side,
Yeah.
And
when sometimes we're just reacting to the news and dissecting it and finding the side.
I think we do our best to try to see as many angles as possible. That doesn't mean we don't land on a side. We do try to at least see as many perspectives as possible, given a certain YouTube video runtime. Ezra Miller, still part of DCEU as the Flash. Amber Heard, still Mera. I probably want to talk about the Ezra Miller one first. Here's the thing. I'm very excited for DC Fandom. I've been catching up on so much DC stuff. Some of the animated movies, their live action shows, the Harley Quinn show. I've been catching up on so many things. I'm a big DC fan. So this is in no ways like me taking jabs at DC. I really want to talk about like the actors' public image right now.
How it affects the movies that they're a part of.
Yeah, and I think it can affect box office to a certain degree. And then there's some things that personally I just feel a little bit strong about. There's all this stuff with like Ray Fisher coming out right now, but there's supposed to be more to come. What he said is that there's so much legalities involved in what he can and cannot say. So I'm kind of just waiting for everything to come out.
I feel like what he's referring to is basically trying to get out of that NDA so he can start talking.
Yeah, and which is interesting because Ray Fisher is tied to Ezra Miller with Justice League, and we're going to get more Ezra Miller in the Snyder Cut, right? Now, with this whole Ezra Miller choking fan situation, we did do a video about it, but it was right around the time when it happened.
In April.
We were all kind of expecting something to come out, whether it be a public apology, some phony PR press release statement.
Acknowledgement of any variety.
Yeah. And there hasn't been any acknowledgement of it. I genuinely find that problematic. He put up this video, was talking about how he's going to be at DC Fandom. I'm on the angle here where I think it might be kind of cool. I don't know about the word cool, but I think it would be perhaps, depending on how it's handled, admirable if they do acknowledge it when he's there, and that's where he can make a statement about it. Because from everything that's come out from people who were present at the scene of that choking incident, in case you guys don't know, Ezra Miller choked a fan in
like Iceland or something outside of a bar and pulled her onto the ground. Yeah.
Everyone who was involved or around that has said like, no, that was real. It wasn't some prank. It wasn't some trolling thing. He wasn't like just joking around. He seemed like he was actually aggressive about it. A lot of clarity could come to mind if he did speak on it, because the thing that's annoying to me about this particular situation, in a time of cancel culture, there are some individuals I'm like, yeah, cancel them, and there are some where I'm like, guys, come on, let's dial it back a little bit, right?
Yeah.
I'm not like either or, because there are definitely so many major areas to cancel culture that are just ridiculous and obnoxious. Do something else with your life, guys. Come on. But in a time of cancel culture, a lot of times when people are canceled, they're like, where's the evidence? Where's the evidence? Where's the evidence? Like, dude,
we got
Ezra
a video
Miller
clip.
We got a fucking video of Ezra Miller doing this.
And a video that is at least a small enough glimpse that it is also dubious just in and of what it shows or doesn't show.
From the perspective of the only people who are talking about it are the people who were actually, some of the people who were there present for the thing. This isn't something that I think should be allowed to just fly under the radar. He has to acknowledge it. If anything, it's like what Ray Fisher did say in a tweet on the day we're filming this, is he did say A over E, and we were trying to figure out like what the hell does that mean, and then we found out like accountability over entertainment. 100% agree with that, especially in a situation like this. A man choking a woman to the ground, playful or not, if the woman seemed like she was scared, hurt, Like, we don't know the full story. We don't know the full story, but right now what we got, I think it's a terrible thing. That's the problem.
Yeah, if it was just cut and dry, they were playing around and it was fine, I feel like we would have all moved on, and then it would have been easy to address that.
Yes, and we can't pick and choose who we want to hold accountable and who we don't want to hold accountable.
Yeah.
That's how we got this influx that we have right now.
Yeah, because over time we have picked and choose.
and that's how we have like overreactions to some things now. And this is something that absolutely should be accountable. I am at that weird part, though, where I'm like, man, I'm going to be a total hypocrite because if this Flash movie comes out, I'm going to end up watching it. That's the other part, too. I gotta admit.
Yeah. And I mean, there's also a certain behoovement to do so. I mean, like, it is directly within the interests of the stuff that we cover of the audience here. It's a weird position where we're like, we kind of have to, even if we didn't have the interest.
I'm like, I'm still going to watch it.
Yeah, and it does strike me as interesting, especially in a time where so many people are banding behind Ray Fisher for this Joss Whedon stuff, and I'm kind of curious about what he would have to say on the subject too, because I mean, he's shared an ensemble with this guy and is preaching about accountability and bad behavior. So I again would be curious from that perspective too. I'm not asking for like a defense or a damning, but just maybe you could expound on that too, because it seems like a pretty big thing to omit from this conversation that you keep popping up.
In terms of like, should he be fired? I would say like, I don't know. That's like my honest answer is I don't know if he should be or shouldn't be fired.
It would depend on what happens if this were to be addressed by him and his people.
Yeah, exactly. Now, if it never gets addressed, then I might swing to the side of there's a guy way with too much, fire him. Like if the movie comes out, it's his major hit, and he's never said anything about it, I'd be like, screw this, because it's like it's not the movie I'm against. It's this idea that he can just get away with something like this, and we just don't say anything about it. We'll just let it fly by.
Yeah,
because I think everyone has a past, and everyone makes mistakes. And people are going to make mistakes, and people are going to keep making mistakes in a wide variety in terms of the severity of the mistake. The thing is, there's footage of this thing, so I think something should be said. That's
footage and witness testimony.
It's kind of just where I'm at, because I know we make a lot of jokes, but it does kind of annoy me.
Yeah. Now more than ever, I think it is too important to differentiate between cancel and accountability culture, because I think that also is maybe, at least in the public side of things, what halts this from going a little bit further is people are like, well, it's either they're here or they're canceled, when really there's a difference between accountability and just straight up saying, no, we need to jettison this person.
Yeah.
It needs to be acknowledged in some way, shape, or form. Otherwise, it's only going to read as we're just sweeping this under the rug.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a lot in all these movies and studios that we just don't hear about, but there's a lot of public things right now with DC from behind the scenes with certain players. That whole Hartley Sawyer getting fired from the Flash thing, granted, the TV show verse is nowhere near as big as the movies. With Hartley Sawyer, though, getting fired, this is what I mean. We can't pick and choose. He makes jokes from many, many years ago that were heinous. Like, wow, I made some pretty messed up jokes, but I wouldn't just put it in a text like that as an adult,
Yeah, those were pretty geekish, shocking,
Yeah. So he offends, like, groups of people with jokes. Ezra Miller physically in person harmed an individual.
Yeah.
Something should be said. That's all I'll say. Mm-hmm. Amber Heard now. Should she be fired? Okay, I want to clear up a couple of thoughts of where I'm currently at on my Johnny Depp, Amber Heard position in my life. Around the time when we were living together, I said something about Johnny Depp. Got a hellstorm of people coming at me. Like, why would you insult him? He was the one who abused. Amber Heard's a liar. All these things, right? At the time, I was 100%, and I got to admit it, I was 100% on the side of, well, Johnny Depp's rich. There's a lot you could cover up about the guy. My mind was going there, and then fans were sending me like screenshots of stuff from the court. I'm like, is this court verified? I was just really questionable about it. And I know some people who knew Johnny Depp or know Johnny Depp, especially around that time, who I started talking to. And I'm like, okay, but they're Johnny Depp's friends,
of course, they're going to have the sugarcoat version.
Yeah. I was like, but maybe. It sounds like they were both abusive. Like, that's where I landed. It sounds like they're both abusive.
It sounded like this was a bad relationship.
Yeah, it sounds like they were very toxic with each other. Because this whole trajectory after that Twitter war I had, where I went through a whole journey here. There's this channel I watch called, or I was like watching some of his videos. I believe his name is Incredibly Average. He was releasing all kinds of things all kinds of things that were suddenly being publicized in this very famous trial with Johnny Depp and Amber Heard about him being called a wife beater by the Sun. But this guy and a couple of other people, but I think it was mainly this guy who was releasing all this stuff for many months. A whole bunch of audio too. A lot of the audio that is now like, oh, the trial played this. I'm like, dude, this guy had this.
Is old.
This is like, this guy's had it on the internet for a while. And it just really hit me. I was like, okay, here's where I stand on the Johnny Depp Amber Heard stuff. I think there was a very toxic, very abusive relationship on both ends. However, I think what's really messed up, like there were some moments apparently of some like physical abuse incidents from Johnny Depp towards Amber Heard that he admitted to, of like one time he accidentally hit her on the head, like, according to him. There's this whole thing there, right? So I don't think he's a wife beater. I can't say
like
that.
A serial wife beater.
Here's the problem that I really have with Amber Heard. She really painted herself in this light. Like Johnny Depp was this monstrosity and Amber Heard was just this
complete
meek victim.
Yeah.
And then you hear these audio tapes on top of the countless witness testimonies already being like, oh, there's just so much where you're like, oh, she was messed up. There's like so much more records of her physically harming Johnny Depp. I was like, no, they're both definitely emotionally and verbally abusive to each other. But for sure, Amber Heard was physically abusive on top of that.
Yeah.
And she was not the victim that she painted herself out to be. And I feel like she really did take advantage of a lot of women who were coming forward about the whole Me Too movement and everything. And she still tries to play that card. I think it does a disservice to the Me Too movement. And come on, if you guys know us, we're champions of that kind of shit. Yes, the trial's public, and the trial had to be something famous so more people could hear the other side of the story and more truths that are backed with a lot of evidence. You know? I do think Amber Heard should be fired. Can people see past it? Here's the thing. I don't know what it is about our society. I feel like for some reason we can let that Ezra Miller shit fly under the radar. Yet with Amber Heard, at this point, especially with how public all this is,
double standard.
I think that this has been an ongoing trial. I mean, it concluded or whatever, but Amber Heard, I think, would just be such a major distraction. I remember at that Comic-Con panel when Johnny Depp showed up as Grindelwald and then Amber Heard was there on the panel the same day for Aquaman, both under the umbrella of WB. There was one person who was definitely getting shunned a lot, and it was Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
but Amber Heard was the victim at the time. And I really feel like it would be distracting. It would be hypocritical. It could be a really negative impact. Honestly, I could do a whole hour talk, obviously. I haven't let John talk one peep. I could do an hour talk about this whole thing because this is like more nuanced and more detailed and not such a black and white situation between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, even factoring in their movie careers and how they've been affected and their public images and yada, yada, yada. I just think that at this point, seeing Amber Heard on screen, and I didn't think Amber Heard was anything special as Mera, so I'm like, I could even I don't really care about her.
It wasn't the kind of thing that you couldn't get someone else to do.
Yeah, like she's nowhere near the main presence spotlight as Arthur Curry or anyone else in that movie for that matter.
Or Nicole Kidman or something like that. Yeah.
So I'm like, I wouldn't miss her or even the character for a movie. I really wouldn't. There's no way I could only see Mera, and I do think it's unfair if she's just able to thrive. There's a big difference here. We've heard so many sides of this story for a long time, piles and piles of evidence with Amber Heard. So it's not a black and white situation of why I'm like, I feel like with Ezra Miller, we should hear something. And then,
we just have this
start concluding some stuff.
We need more than one dangling piece of evidence and a whole lot of silence.
Whereas Amber Heard, I'm like, no, I feel like I've made up my mind on this one. I do sway on the side of I think she ought to be let go. Especially at this point, it'd just be like it would be a major distraction.
I feel that toward the both of them, honestly, at this moment, because it is the sort of thing where the further you dig into this case, the uglier it all gets. And it's clear that these two people perhaps need, A, infinite space from each other, but B, some help at the moment. I don't know. And yeah, especially for a character as profile in a movie as profile as Aquaman, and for as vocal as the fans are, I do feel like they probably will be in a position where replacing her is probably what they want to do because, yeah, you don't want this being the thing everyone brings up. And two, people are such that I hesitate with this because, yeah, I mean, Amber Heard is a great example of somebody who has not necessarily portrayed herself super truthfully or necessarily super accurately. And I think you're correct in assuming that Ezra Miller's transgression is one that I just assume, yeah, the public is likely more so to forget about, whereas I can imagine that same public being very vocal about Aquaman 2 being just over the corner and Amber Heard still being a part of it. And that's something that WB wants to avoid, I'm sure. And as much as controversy as they can get away from these movies, I think the better. But also, yeah, I mean, if you're just talking to me as a human being and I'm listening to these details, and you probably have more, obviously, details of the case than me.
I know. I've heard everything that you can possibly hear. It's rare in a toxic relationship that both sides are not abusive to one another. It's just an abusive relationship.
Both these people need a timeout.
The thing is, I have a hard time believing that Johnny Depp was this monster to this poor girl.
Yeah.
That's the part of the story where I'm like, no, there's a lot of false narrative here.
I could see that.
And being a toxic relationship, fine, that's your private business. But man, the fact that it became public, I feel like Johnny Depp got duped on a lot here and got wronged on a lot. And not enough people are also hearing at least his side of the story so everyone can draw a certain conclusion for their own, basically, is what I'm trying to say.
To me, they're on roughly a similar level. It's just that Johnny Depp's case has improved to me over time while Amber Heard's is significantly weakened. And now, because the thing is, too, like, I think Amber Heard is a good actress. I've seen her in things I've really liked. Obviously, Johnny Depp is part of some of my favorite movies, but I do feel, I was just watching Murder on the Orient Express a couple weeks ago, and this was kind of the first thing I thought about, so I feel like less so to Johnny Depp, but they both are carrying this around right now, and it's gonna be a thing that you think about whenever you see each of them. I'm not necessarily saying recast Grindelwald 2, but I feel like we at very least need a break for these people to go sort themselves out.
There's just so much mounting against Johnny Depp, showing like, what did he lie about exactly? And then with Amber Heard, you're like, oh, she lied about so much. And that whole thing with her having a bruised eye, there's so much evidence. At least that's what was reported there. What was the evidence that was brought? That was painted on. Oh man, that really boggles that bothers me that everyone's just kind of running with that story, and I was one of them.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Yeah, and that's probably why I feel so passionate about it now.
Yeah. One, it is interesting too to me because it's not that the actor needs to match the character in terms of their moral compass or whatever, but you do have Mera, who is a hero figure in the Aquaman story.
Your public image can be so distracting. That's why Mel
Gibson
that's what I'm
saying. No, that's what I'm saying is you don't need them to match. However, I think in this scenario, Amber Heard has had information revealed about her either through herself or other people that has proven that she's not in any way as upstanding as that character. And so there is, again, you don't need your actors to morally align, but at the same time, it does seem a little bit counterintuitive to be like, wow, you're responsible for some pretty terrible behavior over the past several years, and also you're this hero here. So it almost seems like a spiritually good choice to find a different presence to occupy that role. To me, it's weird because I'm sure that there is some level of double standard going in here where people are more apt to attack and punish Amber Heard harder than perhaps an Ezra Miller, if that amounts to more than it is right now. But at the same time, what's been revealed is very, very ugly.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't compare Amber Heard to Ezra Miller and you just isolate the situation, I feel like everything that's bad about Johnny Depp we've already known for such a long time. Like his alcoholism and drug addiction stuff, these patterns that he has that he's admitted to, and like being like partying like the rock star that he is sometimes. Like he can have like a temper problem, but his whole argument was wife beater. And he's like, that's not what I was. Everything was pinpointing back to that. So he admitted to like a whole list of other things.
I did some bad shit,
but I wasn't that. That's the whole point. Like, no, I did that. I was that, but not that.
And then, I mean, that paints a more genuine, at least, persona.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Than it does somebody who's like, I was attacked, except I did a lot of stuff. And I maybe blew some of this out of proportion, and it's a mess.
But
it's a holy mess.
All right, guys. Well,
Who should stick around and who should be fired?
Who should be fired?
Joss
Let's see.
Whedon.
Next week we'll see a whole bunch of evidence come out about Johnny Depp, and I'll be like, shit, I gotta make another video.
Well, hey, maybe we can just flip flop every week. More evidence, less evidence.
You can't
more
ever change an opinion. An opinion is a finite piece of material
yeah.
manifested in the universe.
Yeah, that's the backbone of American politics. Don't ever update your information once you've chosen it. What would you do that for? How are people going to know what you stand for if you update?
All right, guys. Leave your thoughts down below. Either way, DC Fandom. We got more DC
Coming
stuff
up.
to talk about.
Fun time.